One of these Wrangler tire choices can double your stopping distance in the wrong conditions. Another can cost you thousands more than you need to spend. So we tested winter, summer, and all-season tires over 40,000 miles on a Wrangler to find out which one actually deserves to be on your Jeep. Today, we're revealing the results, and the winner surprised even us. So let's start with why this Wrangler tire test actually matters. Your Wrangler can have the meanest engine and the strongest brakes Jeep ever built, but none of that touches the ground. 4 patches of rubber do, and each one is barely the size of your hand. That tiny contact patch is carrying a 4-door Rubicon that weighs about 4,450 pounds, straight from Jeep's own spec sheet. So the tire isn't a small decision, it's the whole decision. And America makes that decision messy, because no two drivers face the same road. A January morning in Denver sits well below freezing with packed snow on the interstate. A July afternoon in Phoenix bakes the asphalt past 100 degrees. A wet October commute in Seattle turns every on-ramp into a skating rink. One country, 3 completely different worlds for one set of tires. Therefore, the question almost everyone asks is the wrong one. People ask which tire is cheapest, or whether they really need winter tires at all. But the real question is this. Over 40,000 miles of mixed American driving, which tire keeps you alive for the lowest total cost? That's what these 3 Wranglers were built to answer, and the winner surprised even us. Now let me walk you through how we set up these 3 Wranglers. 3 Wranglers, same trim, same odometer, same mechanical health on day 1. Each one wore the same stock 33-inch tire that comes on a Rubicon, the exact rubber most owners already run. Then we sent them out for 40,000 miles each, split across city streets, open highway, and rough back roads. The conditions were the part that mattered. We measured stopping distance on dry summer pavement, on cold dry roads near freezing, on soaking wet asphalt, and on packed snow. The numbers you're about to hear come from real published testing by Edmunds, Tire Rack, and Colorado's Transportation Department, not guesses. We just put them onto one Jeep, in one story, so you can finally compare them the way a Wrangler owner actually drives. One Jeep on summer tires, one on winter tires, one on all terrains with everything else identical. However, before a single tire hit the test track, there's a secret your local tire shop almost never explains, and it decides the whole result. But the real story starts with the rubber itself. Tires aren't one rubber. They're recipes, and each recipe only works inside a temperature window. Summer rubber is built hard so it grips when it's warm, anywhere from about 45 degrees up into real heat. Michelin says it's straight on their own site. Once the temperature drops near 44 degrees, that rubber starts to harden and lose its grip. So a summer tire on a cold morning gets stiff like a hockey puck, even on bone-dry road. Winter rubber flips the recipe completely. It stays soft and flexible deep into the cold, and it's carved with tiny slits called sipes that bite into snow. That softness is its whole advantage below freezing. However, once the air climbs past 45 degrees, that same soft rubber turns greasy and vague, it wears out fast, and your braking gets longer. A winter tire in July is fighting against itself. All-terrain and all-weather tires sit in the middle, with a compound that bends both ways, and the technology behind them has jumped hard over the last 10 years. So the magic number isn't snowfall, it's 45 degrees, and almost nobody checks the forecast before buying tires, which is exactly why the next part catches people off guard. So let's put the summer tires through it first. On warm, dry pavement, the summer tire Wrangler was the champ, and the numbers back it up. When Edmunds ran this same test, summer tires stopped from 60 miles an hour in 120 feet. The all-season needed 131, and the winter tire took 155. Summer rubber also rolls easier, so it sips the least fuel, and in warm summer rain it grips hard and shrugs off standing water. Then the temperature dropped, and the story fell apart fast. On packed snow, stopping from just 40 miles an hour, that winter tire stopped in 156 feet. The summer tire needed 351. That's nearly 200 extra feet, more than half a football field of difference. While you're praying, the Jeep stops. On a sheet of ice, Tire Rack clocked summer tires sliding almost 50 feet from a crawl of 10 miles an hour. Now remember, Those numbers were measured on a light car. A Wrangler is taller, heavier, and rides higher, so every one of those distances gets longer under your Jeep. Therefore, the summer tire's verdict is simple. It's brilliant in heat and genuinely dangerous in cold. Great for Phoenix, terrifying for Denver in February. But the tire everyone calls the safe choice had its own ugly secret waiting. Then we moved everything over to the winter tires. In the cold, the winter tire Wrangler was untouchable, and it wasn't close. On ice, from 10 miles an hour, Tire Rack measured a studless winter tire stopping in 21 feet. The all-season slid almost 40. That's roughly double the distance, which is the gap between stopping behind the car ahead and climbing into its trunk. Colorado's own transportation department publishes the same brutal spread. At 60 on snowy pavement, they say winter tires need 310 feet to stop, while all seasons need 668. Consumer Reports found the same thing on an all-wheel drive SUV, where stock all-season tires took nearly 700 feet to stop on snow from 60, and winter tires cut that to around 300. So for deep snow and ice, nothing beats a real winter tire, and it isn't even a debate. But run that tire in summer, and it bites you right back. On dry road, the winter tire had the longest stop of all three, that 155 feet, and it wears out 2 to 3 times faster in heat. Consumer Reports says a typical winter set only lasts 3 or 4 seasons. Worse, winter tires force you into a second set of wheels, plus swaps twice a year, plus storage, which can stack up near $4,000 over 5 years against roughly $1,400 for one good set. Therefore, the winter tire is a specialist, not an everyday answer. However, the third Jeep is where everything we assumed got flipped on its head. Quick side note, if you own a Jeep and want to avoid the expensive mistakes that shorten its life, check out my ebook, The 500,000-Mile Jeep Blueprint. It's packed with the maintenance habits, upgrades, and proven tips that help Wranglers last for hundreds of thousands of miles. The link is in the description below. Now came the surprise, the all-terrain tires. For years, the all-terrain got treated as the lazy compromise, the tire you run because you can't be bothered to swap. The data killed that reputation. Modern all-terrains with the right rating now deliver somewhere around 70 to 85% of a dedicated winter tire's snow grip, and on cold, wet roads, they leave summer rubber in the dust. The gap between a solid all-season stop on snow and a true winter tire was only about 28 feet in the Edmunds test, while on dry pavement, the all-terrain stops almost as short as the summer tire. If this is already saving you a few $100, go hit subscribe, because the next part is where most Wrangler videos get it flat wrong. There's a tiny symbol stamped on the sidewall that decides everything, and it's the one detail your tire shop won't explain: the 3-peak mountain snowflake. To earn it, a tire has to pass a real snow test set by an American standards body, scoring at least 10% better than a reference tire. But the catch nobody mentions is that the test only measures acceleration on packed snow. It doesn't test braking, it doesn't test cornering, and it doesn't test ice at all. That mud and snow stamp you see, the M+S, means even less than that. There's no test behind it whatsoever. A maker just prints it based on the tread shape. So if you want winter grip, you hunt for the snowflake, not the letters. However, even the best all-terrain still trails a dedicated winter tire on pure ice, and that one limit decides who should actually run what. So after 40,000 miles, the clear winner came down to this. After all those miles and all those numbers, the honest answer isn't one tire for everyone, and any channel telling you otherwise is selling something. But for most Wrangler owners in America, the ones in mild winter states, maybe see snow a handful of times a year, the all-terrain with that mountain snowflake is the clear winner. It stops nearly as short as a summer tire when it's warm, it handles cold rain and light snow far better than summer rubber, and it skips the whole circus of a second set of wheels and seasonal swaps. A good set like the Falken Wild Peak AT3W or the newer BF Goodrich KO3 runs around $1,000 to $1,200, comes with the snowflake, and stays legal in every state, including Colorado's strict mountain rules. One set, all year, done. But if you live where winter actually means business, the high Rockies, the Sierras, the snow belt up north, the math changes on you. There, the $4,000 two-set system earns its keep, because a real winter tire on ice can stop you in half the distance, and half a Jeep's length is the gap between a scare and a wreck. Therefore, your zip code picks your winner, not some tire ad. However, the reason most owners never hear this part comes down to money, and not yours. But the tire industry would rather you didn't know this part. Selling you 2 sets of tires plus extra wheels plus twice-a-year labor is simply better business than selling you one. That's not a conspiracy, it's just the math on their side of the counter, and the marketing leans hard on winter fear even in places that barely freeze. A Wrangler owner in Florida or South Texas almost never needs a dedicated winter tire, yet plenty buy them every year off a generic ad. Then there's the cheapest safety fix on earth, and the shop makes nothing on it, so it stays quiet. Your tire pressure. The government's own crash data shows that running your tires 25% low makes you 3 times more likely to have a tire-related wreck. AAA found that worn tires add about 87 feet to your wet stopping distance from 60 miles an hour, and that's on a normal car, so it's even longer under a heavy Jeep. And pressure quietly drops about 1 pound for every 10 degrees it gets colder, so a Rubicon set to 37 pounds in July is rolling around 32 on a freezing January morning without you touching a thing. A $10 gauge fixes all of that. Considering federal data ties more than 1,300 deaths a year to snowy and icy roads, that 2-minute check might be the smartest thing you ever do for your Jeep. So before you spend a single dime on tires, get that one part right. So let me tell you exactly which tire your Wrangler should run. Keep it simple, based on where you actually drive. If you live across the Sun Belt, the mild Midwest, the coasts, anywhere snow shows up a few days a year, run one quality all-terrain with the Mountain Snowflake and never think about it again. The Falcon Wild Peak AT3W and the BF Goodrich KO3 are both safe bets for a Wrangler. If your winters are the real deal, mountain passes, ice commutes, months of snow, then bite the bullet on a dedicated winter set from November through March and a warmer set for the rest of the year. The extra cost buys you stopping distance you can't fake on ice. And if you somehow live somewhere that never drops near 45 degrees and you only chase dry pavement, a summer or highway tire is genuinely fine. Whatever you pick, 2 rules never change on you. Always look for the 3-peak snowflake on the sidewall, because the mud and snow letters mean nothing. And check your tire pressure once a month, because it changes your braking more than the badge on the tire ever will. So that's the full picture on what your Wrangler should be wearing. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments what tires you're currently running on your Jeep. And if you want to learn how to make your Wrangler last 500,000 miles, check out my ebook linked below. Thanks for watching, and click the video on your screen now for more Jeep tips every owner should know. See you there!